All right, guys, Los Angeles, California, WrestleMania. I'm with the visionary, Seth Rollins. My man, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's been a while. Before we get going into the interview, I got a question for you. First off, how good of a referee was I in Philadelphia? Like, think about that. I was good. But also, like, how could you not recognize I was there to cheat for you? I was for the take. I was on the books.
The problem is we're in the fight pit. There's no rules. So how am I gonna cheat? What am I gonna do? There's nothing to be done, you know?
I was there. I was in your corner.
I know. It was I had a lot going on. I was clouded. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, every excuse in the book. On that day, Matt Riddle was just a better man. It was what it was. It was.
At one point you said, shut your fat ass up. So were the stripes not flattering? Were they not flattering? Did you black out?
Yeah, I have no recollection. I think those words would never come out of my mouth, right? I would never do that. You look good, though, man.
Thank
you look good. You look good.
So I look at your character, and right now, the crowd, they're like behind you, bro. Like, I was in that fight pit waiting for you to come out. And it was a different reaction from you to Riddle to everyone else on the night, but it's been organic. This wasn't something written into the storyline. How good does it feel to have that type of support from the crowd when you go in there?
Oh, it's special. You know, I've always prided myself on being able to get under people's skin whenever I wanted to and get that reaction from them, and that's always fun. But the opposite of that, where it's an organic appreciation or kind of a mutual respect between your audience and the performer, and that response that I get from them is special. That's not anything, because like you said, it's not manufactured. It's not anything that, you know, they're not being told. No one's being paid to cheer, to sing the song, none of that stuff. They're not like, he's our guy, let's go with him. It's just, they felt it, man. And so they took me from where I was at the top of my game on the other side of the coin to now being, you know, one of the more beloved guys on our roster. And it is a special feeling, and it's different when it's real, when it's their choice and not just something that's force-fed to them.
You know, the fans, the chanting, the singing, like, they moved the building.
Yeah.
And that's at 20,000.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 60,000 in SoFi this weekend?
I have imagined it, but the imagination is going to pale in comparison to what it's actually going to be like. And we got a fun entrance, and everything's going to be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that sounds like. This will be my third WrestleMania with this song.
Yeah.
Now, the first one we did in Tampa, it was at half cap, right?
Yeah,
this was in 2021.
Yeah,
I
the
think
COVID,
it was.
right after the COVID.
Right after the COVID mania. Last year, we were in Texas and Dallas, big stadium, but I wasn't quite there yet. It was, you know, the Cody Rhodes match. That was the story. This one's going to be different, man, because I do have, like you mentioned, that fan support. So it's going to be electric.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see if they're even going to be quiet the whole match, or if we're just going to get them singing the whole time.
Sometimes that's what we get, right? We get people just chanting the entire match.
They're there to party, man, and that's their prerogative. So I hope they do. I hope they have a good time.
You know, in fighting, we talk about having all the tools. The punches, the elbows, the knees, the kicks. You use all your weapons. You are a five-tool guy. You can do it all in the wrestling. You're one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. What do you think allows for you to be in that category? Because when I watch you, in the way not only you perform, but the way you elevate the people performing with you, you stand in a league that's not matched by many.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think, man, I'm just a student of the game. I think that's a big thing. A big part of it is, you know, nowadays everybody's style sort of comes together. Everybody's sort of an amalgamation. There's not very many specific type guys, but to be a five-tool player and to be able to be good at all of those things, it just takes years and years and years of struggle, of trying to figure it out, what works, watching this guy, watching that guy, and trying to figure out what works for me and my character and what I want to present. And so being a student of the game and watching, I still watch all the time, man. I watch everything, all the stuff that's on television, at the live events. I'm sitting at the monitor. I watch everybody's matches. I'm always trying to figure out what works. I'm obsessed with this game, you know? Yeah. I'm obsessed with it, and I have been since I was 4 years old, and nothing has changed. And to be able to have all those resources and all those hours of just, you know, bringing it at me, I just have been able to absorb so much information, and then I've been able to put it back out and hopefully be decent at, you know, all the pieces.
You're much more than decent, but do you take pride in that? Because this is not just me telling you. This is a universal thought, right? Seth Rollins is one of the best wrestlers in the world. But when you say you watch everyone and you watch everything, when you start to think about the best wrestlers in the world, Who do you think is on that tier with you?
Oh, I mean, the first guy that comes to mind is Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I think, as someone that, we debuted in WWE at the same time, and to watch his progression, what he's become as a character and a storyteller, he always had the athletic gifts. But over the past 3 years, you've really seen him shift into a different level. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, these guys that I've got a lot of history with. On the other side of the coin, my wife, Becky Lynch.
Good, man.
She's one of the best to ever do it. She's revolutionary in her own right. And then, there's a lot of guys out there that I think are extremely talented and on that level and really on the cusp, like someone like Gunther, who I think is really special.
I think he's good, yeah.
And then you look, in other promotions. You look at John Moxley, another guy that I'm very familiar with from my own past. I think he's got all the tools. Kenny Omega, he's got all the tools. So there are a few of us out there, but to be mentioned in that small group, I think is pretty special.
You have been very giving. And I'm going to talk about the Logan Paul feud, but just giving in the sense of you are willing to work and put over just about anybody. But in this feud with Logan Paul, you've been very giving to make him seem formidable. Why is that so important for you, to make it seem like this guy belongs in there with you?
Well, I don't really have to do a lot to make the guy formidable. He's a legitimate athlete. Say what you will about him from a personality standpoint. I don't love him, and I know this. You've been in fights with guys who you don't like personally.
No, absolutely.
But you got to give them all the credit in the world when it comes to what they bring to the table inside, the octagon for you, the squared circle for us. And Logan Paul is one of those guys. I don't love him as a human, but he's a supreme athlete. I mean, he just is. Him and his brother both. They're just incredible athletes. They put in the work. They put in the time. So I haven't had to do a whole lot to make sure that he's formidable. He puts himself in that position. With that said, I do take pride in that. I do. And it's about stories, man. Our business is about stories. It's about telling what the best story is. And, we get hung up on wins and losses and all that stuff way too much, I mean, the best guys in your business, they're winners and they're champions, but the biggest money drawers aren't always
the guys that win all the time.
Exactly. And so that's a big part of the fight game. Yes, we want to win every time we go out there. Yes, we want to have the best performance every time we go out there. But the bottom line is, are we putting bodies in the seats? Are people buying the pay-per-view? Are they paying attention to what you're doing? And if you're doing those things, the rest will follow. And so I do take a lot of pride in telling the best story that I can with the pieces involved.
I wrote an article the other day for ESPN.com, and I listed my matches I look forward to, and I sent this to you on a text message. I sent you the article, and you guys are on the list. But I also said I feel like he needs a win, right? Because you are such a great performer, but at times we don't get the wins as sometimes we see fit. One of the biggest wins ever was at WrestleMania, where I lost my mind when you became the champion.
You did.
But it's like, do you need to win? Like, do you feel like you need a win against a guy like a Logan Paul?
I think yes. I think, putting aside all of what I said just a second ago, which is all true. It's all true. At some point, it does matter. Wins and losses, you have to bring that to the table. And to me, because Logan Paul, and I said all those good things about him just a minute ago, and I meant them all, because he is not from
your world.
He's not from our world. He's not cut from our cloth. To go in there and to lose to someone like him on the biggest stage, the show of shows, it could be devastating for me.
Yeah, because you always have shown a ton of respect for guys like Cena when they were on their way up, always on the road and stuff like that, right? So it's like Logan is fantastic, but I feel like at some point we got to start getting some dubs, baby.
We do got to start getting some dubs. I think the masses would appreciate a Seth Rollins dub at WrestleMania. I would too. It always feels good to have your hand raised at the end.
Cody Rhodes made some headlines a couple weeks ago saying that you guys almost got into a fist fight. I mean, what's the state of your relationship with Cody?
I can't get into too many details on that. There's a level of truth to that. But, I mean, look, the bottom line is I feel, based on my body of work and what I've contributed to this company over the course of the last decade, really, I should be in that position, right? I'm the one who has held it down while he drifted off and went and did his own thing. Respect to him for that. Great. He drifted off, did his own thing. I'm the one who held it down. When everybody got hurt or did something else or went off or took part-time schedules or wanted less and wanted to do less and ask for more or wanted to go somewhere else because they weren't happy, you don't think there's been plenty of times when I ain't been happy or plenty of times when I haven't felt like I've been on the short end of the stick? There's tons of stories I could tell about that, but I don't. I keep it to myself. I put my head down. I work hard. I vouch for this company. I vouch for this place. And I feel like what he's getting is not, I'm just not entirely comfortable with it. And I don't know any other way to put it than that. And I think that just creates some natural friction between the two of us. And so, you know, when tempers flare, tempers flare. You know how it goes sometimes. So yeah, there's a little truth to that, but I can't get into too many details. But,
and I don't really want to. I just have to ask the question. You know what I'm saying?
It's there's some level of mutual respect there has to be in this industry, but at the same time, there's animosity as well.
Yeah, and I think honestly that the reason he's believable is because of the work you guys did since his return back to WWE.
It takes two to tango.
It does take two to tango, and you're one of the best at it, my brother. Fatherhood.
Yeah.
Right. That's what matters.
That is what matters.
That's what matters, right? Fatherhood. Talk to me about, you know, there's a great video of you kissing your kid.
Oh, the best.
You know, in the front row. And then you realize kind of, you know, this and nothing else is what this whole thing is about. You know, like what does it mean to you to be a father and for your kid to now see you and your wife both performing at such a high level?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool that we're able to live this life with her, right? Mm-hmm. We're able to have her on the road, be a part of this whole thing, experience it, travel the world, and be able to be parents, active parents at the same time. Because a lot of people who've been in our situation they're not afforded that opportunity, and we're very fortunate that we get that. And dude, being a dad's the best. It's the best. No one tells you how much fun it is. And yeah, being a parent's tough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not going to sleep on that. It is difficult. It is a difficult thing, raising another human. There's a lot of responsibility involved. But it's so much fun. And just to see her smile or have joy on a daily basis in whatever it is she's doing, whether it's little games we're playing or she's showing me her toys or whatever it may be, she sees a dog on the street. You know, anything that lights her up, that just shifts your whole mood, you know? Anything that's bothering you in the world, you can just toss it away. You can throw it out the door because you're in that moment. You're present with your child and you're experiencing pure, unadulterated joy like you can't imagine. So I never imagined that I would feel this way as a parent. I kind of always thought maybe I'd have a kid, maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. But now that I've got her, I can't imagine like not ever having a kid. I can't imagine not being a parent. It's been an awesome privilege to be able to watch her grow up. You know, she's almost 2.5 now, and you know, being able to do that with her. And for the rest of her life, I get to be dad, and that's the best job.
But you see, like you said, no matter what's going on, right? So I asked you the Cody Rhodes question.
Yeah.
And then I talked about your daughter, and look at you now. It just changes, right?
Exactly.
It's immediate.
I went from one to knock somebody's teeth down their throat to just one to snuggle
you
a little
snuggle
baby.
your kid.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what happens, and I need that, man. So it's real nice to be able to get done with a gig and be frustrated and whatever, and then or in pain, you know.
I mean, of course.
You got a lot going on, so whatever. But you go and you're able to hold your daughter or watch a movie or whatever she wants to do, and it's just a game changer, man.
When
you
guys are both home and you're with your daughter, like, what does that day look like? Are you guys just hanging out? Like, I mean, you're Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Like, are you guys just hanging out? Like,
yeah, but we're just mom and dad. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're just hanging out. You know,
that's amazing.
She loves this show on YouTube, Miss Rachel.
Oh my God, I have a
Rachel.
2-year-old daughter too.
Loves Miss Rachel.
Oh my God, she's all fly. You know, we all know how that lady talks.
Yeah, and now I've got all the songs. You know, I know them all. So it's like she loves Miss Rachel. She loves her little Disney movies, her Encanto, Moana. She digs all that stuff. So I mean, we're just hanging out, man. We're trying to make sure she's fed all right, and active and playing. We go to a park. We watch her go down a slide, you know, and that's it. We just have a blast.
When you go to the park, like, are you able to just go to the park?
Yeah.
People don't bother you?
I mean, I'm not like I've got a modicum of fame, a little bit, but it's we're still a little niche thing we got here. It's not. I'm not John Cena, I'm not Dwayne Johnson yet.
Those guys become they become victims to their fame.
Oh, of course.
It was Anderson Silva back in Brazil. He couldn't even walk the streets.
Exactly.
It was crazy.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that with some people on some level, but I mean, you're the same way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You put a hat on.
Put a hat on and you're fine.
Yeah, you can go out and do your thing. And I'm a little more recognizable than my wife, like, 'cause she can kind of put her hair back and hood up, but I'm a taller. I got the beard, so it gets a little trickier for me sometimes, but oftentimes, and I'll say this, we talk about how this generation or people are crazy nowadays or whatever. I will say this: when people see us with our kid, they're always very polite and understanding. So they very respectful. They'll give us our distance, and that is nice. So even if they do recognize us, a lot of times it's a tip of the cap or a hi. Just wanted to say, we're fans, and that's it, and that's great. We love that.
That's the best.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You've accomplished so much, but what do you believe is the one thing still, like in terms of goals for Seth Rollins going forward?
I've done it all. You were there for the cash-in. I've created moments and been fortunate enough to be a part of moments that are, kind of transcend even what I'm about to say. But for me, being on that marquee at WrestleMania as the guy that's headlining the show, that's the one. I've never had that. The cash-in was a different thing. I did Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 35 in New York, but we opened the show. The girls closed the show that night for the first time ever. I've never been Seth Rollins versus, and that's the last match that's going to close the show, no bones about it. And from being a small kid, that's all I've ever wanted. And so that's the one, man. Even though, like I said, the cash-in, because it's one of one, there's never been any. It transcends it a little bit, but that I still have that in my head, that chip on my shoulder that says, until you get that main event, until you're on that marquee, you haven't reached the level that you think you can get to. And so that's always going to be the one for me, man. That's like the I don't know, the chip on my shoulder, the rabbit on my back, or monkey on my back. That's what I was thinking of. I'm like, I knew it's some sort of animal. What is it, rabbit?
Yeah.
Is there a rabbit? No. The monkey on my back, that's the one, man. That's the big thing for me.
You think that chip, that motivates you a little bit to always carry it a little bit? Because I, as an athlete myself, I always wanted to carry a little bit of that, like, anger, like oh, they don't respect me. They don't. I would almost trick myself into it.
Of course, it's like Michael Jordan, right? He would like make up little stories for his opponents. I don't know if you ever heard that story.
I watched it.
Yeah. He would make up little stories for people.
You say one thing.
Yeah, they'd say one thing. It wouldn't even be like malicious in any way. But he would take it, flip it, and he would use it as a switch to just wreck them. And so that chip, I have to have it. I don't operate without it. That's like my competitive edge. That's the thing that, makes me want to get up and go to the gym every day. It makes me want to, have the best match on the show in Corbin, Kentucky. I don't have to do that.
No, you don't.
Why would I do that? But
hitting Falcon Arrow.
Yeah. But I have to have it. If I don't have it, and I'm just like, no, I'll let somebody else steal the show tonight. I can't operate that way. I just can't do it. So I got to have that chip. And if it's not there, I'll figure out a way to make it.
Yeah. We fast forward 1 year. What's the ideal matchup for you? WrestleMania 40.
God, there's a few of them out there, man. I mean, realistically, Roman Reigns is someone that I have only wrestled on pay-per-view in singles matches twice.
Really?
Yeah. And you look at a lot of the other, say, long-term rivalries, Rock Austin, they did 3 Mania matches themselves, 3 of them, 2 of them main events, I think.
Yeah.
You look at Cena and Orton, and they had 1 million, even Cena and Edge. And I have never had that kind of definitive, put the stamp on it match with Roman. You mentioned Cody Rhodes. There's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
I would love to get a win over him. I would love to get a win over him on a big stage like that. And then the cool thing about our industry is, in a year's time, everything can change.
Everything can change.
So you don't know who's going to be on the come up in a year. There could be some cats from NXT. There could be a Braun Breaker or a Carmelo Hayes that are just, they get the right spark, and bam, they're off to the races. You just never know. So that's the fun thing. You never know who's going to flip, who's going to come back, who's going to be injured, who's going to be out. You never know. So, I mean, those are the two that jump off the page to me, Cody and Roman. But, man, the ideal matchup for me is anybody who's on the opposite end of that headline.
Yeah, you want to be
on
the
the opposite end of that marquee. That's it. We're in Philly next year. Philly's always been good to me, so we'll see what happens.
Before I let you go, my last question is, Logan Paul has some very unique gifts, right? He's a high flyer. He's very athletic. So, like, what can we expect to see? Like, what can we expect to see between you two guys and Seth Rollins, one of the best in the world, against Logan Paul, who is showing he's about as natural as we've seen come into the business?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think expectations are high for a reason. I believe we will exceed those expectations. And I see no reason why we shouldn't. In my mind, all the pieces are in place to have a match that steals the show, not just night one, because we're on night one, but the whole weekend. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what that experience is going to be like. You know, he's, like you mentioned, he's got it all. We've got a great story going in. And I think that I don't miss a WrestleMania, man.
Yeah.
This is my 10th one. I missed one because of the knee injury, but this is my 10th WrestleMania. You look at my track record, there's not a single dud of the bunch, not one. So I'm very much looking forward to adding another one of those to the list and kind of making my case for the new Mr. WrestleMania. No disrespect to Sean.
My man. Guys, that's why you're going on SportsCenter tonight, my man. Seth freaking Rollins takes on Logan Paul on night one of WrestleMania. The visionary, one of the best in the world. Call him whatever you want. Just make sure you tune in. Seth, good luck this weekend, my friend.
DC, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Next time I get you in the stripes, I'll make sure to utilize you properly.
Dude, put him sideways, not straight up and down. I ain't got a body like this guy. Peace, guys.